Eisbruch.
I think it's about a man who's disfigured and who has an intense love for a young woman. And because of his disfigurement, the only way he can express his love to her is through his music.
Let me be your freedom. Let day dry your tears.
I think just visually and musically, it does kind of sweep you up into this whole another time and place.
I think for most audiences it is a wonderful show of dreams. You're taken into a world where you can believe something special and hyper romantic can happen.
The show that we tour is the same show you would see in London or in New York.
I'm Gayle King, and welcome to Backstage with Phantom of the Opera. We are, of course, here at the Bushnell, where Phantom is running for the next 7.5 weeks. But for the next hour, we're going to take you inside the mysterious world of what many believe is the greatest musical of all time. Backstage, everywhere you look, in every corner, there's a new fascination here on the Phantom set. For instance, while you're out in your seat watching, and at times you really can hear a pin drop, there are 90 people working backstage, helping to create the magic every single night. Theaters across the globe, from London to New York and San Francisco, structurally reinforce their stages to accommodate the 2.5-ton staircase used in the masquerade scene, and the mystery surrounding the famous chandelier that looms high above the audience throughout the evening taunts patrons in Phantom style. And then there's the elephant, the life-size elephant. He's a part of just one of the many elaborate scenes throughout the production.
The reason the show works so well is because it's a melodrama, and it's a horror story, and it's a love story, and people love all of those elements. And there's a lot of pyrotechnics, and there's a beautiful chandelier, and it's a feast for the eyes and for the emotion, and it really brings people in.
I'm still negotiating between how much to surrender to what's going on emotionally and with the acting, and how much to at least give a thought to what I need to do vocally in order to hit the note. I don't want to be just someone who, now here's my solo number and I'm just going to stand here and sing my song and hit my high notes. You know, I feel like the reason for singing is because there's something emotional going on that's beyond words, and therefore it goes into song. So I always want to be acting, but that's sort of the challenge of musical theater. Sometimes, you know, you're doing both. You're acting and you're singing, which is a specific technique.
So what do you think when you see him up there on stage?
I just am overwhelmed. I just knew he was going to make it.
And, but now I see him, and it's like, I just can't believe this has come true for him, and I'm just so proud, naturally.
Oh, I'll bet.
Actor Tom O'Leary was born and raised in Windsor Locks, and unlike most leading men, he did not dream as a young boy of seeing his name in lights. In fact, the first time Tom ever hit the stage in the lead role was during his senior year at Windsor High. He was playing Dracula then. Growing up a quiet, shy boy, this was not what Tom's family thought he would ever go on to do in his life. But there was something about that first experience that surprisingly sparked Tom's career.
It was like click, and he knew what he wanted to do, and he was going on to college, and he told his father and I he wanted to be an actor.
And what'd you say? And
we said, oh, we thought you were going to be a CPA or a doctor or something, you know.
You said an actor. Oh,
and,
good, honey.
Yeah, and we said, all right, well, go and try. And I said to my husband, oh, give him a year. He'll forget about it. And here we are 20 years later, you know.
But the past 2 decades have not been easy for Tom. He has, like most struggling actors, held many odd jobs while never losing sight of what his heart told him to do. His acting career has taken many turns as one of the 3 Musketeers in summer stock, in the first national chorus of Les Miserables, his first big break in New York. And then he took center stage at the Bushnell for the very first time with a touring company of chess. Now proudly, he returns to the Bushnell, starring in Broadway's biggest production ever.
Tell me what it was like getting the role for you. I mean, was this something that you always wanted, or did you try to get it, or what was that process like?
Yeah, it took a long time. I auditioned once a year for 3 years, and
for the Phantom role?
Well, just to understudy it. And,
understudies have to audition?
Yes.
Wow.
And the second time I auditioned for them, I got cast in the show on Broadway, but I still didn't get to understudy the Phantom. I was in the chorus, had a feature role, understudied another principal role.
6 months ago, Tom portrayed the Phantom on Broadway for a few shows. His performance was so impressive that Broadway producer Hal Prince cast him to the road tour, sight unseen.
He said, I've never heard so many raves about somebody's performance. I'm sorry that I haven't seen you do it yet, but I would be thrilled to have you take over the role on the tour, and I'll catch you later.
Floating for sweet intoxication.
When we come back, she's his angel of music, Christine Daae. She captivates the Phantom with her beauty and her voice. We'll take a look at the woman responsible for breaking the Phantom's heart, and some say that steals the show. You can decide that when we return to Backstage with a Phantom.
Backstage with the Phantom is brought to you in part by Bernie's and your Chevrolet dealers.
It's great doing business with the experts. Let's say you're looking for a big TV. Well, Bernie's is your big TV store, and RCA is America's favorite big TV. What could be better? So glad you asked. Buy a selected RCA now, and it's no down payment, no interest, and no payments till '97. You'll get 1-year price protection and our unique 30-day satisfaction guarantee. The competition hasn't quite figured all this out yet. Buy your RCA now and make no payments till '97. RCA is always a better buy at Bernie's.
Building GeoPrism to some of the highest standards of quality puts it on somewhat of a pedestal. A beam price starting at $12,350 puts Prism very much within reach. No wonder GeoPrism is a Consumer's Digest Best Buy for the 3rd year in a row. Get to know GeoPrism at your Chevrolet Geo dealer.
The best of Broadway without the hassle of New York. That's the beauty of the Bushnell. 6 great Broadway shows. Spectacular first-class entertainment right here in Hartford. Subscribe now to the 1995-96 Broadway series at the Bushnell. Call the box office at 246-6807.
Welcome back. While the Phantom gets most of the attention in the show, this is not a story about him.
This is really a story about a young woman. This is her dressing table, and she's struggling with the fact that two men are in love with her. One of them happens to be the Phantom.
Away from cold, unfeeling light.
I think it is for the role of Christine a struggle between art and love. The Phantom has given her the power, this gift, this voice. He has this sort of guru-like, Svengali-like presence over her. And then she's got Raoul, who's come back into her life. You know, they knew each other at one time. And she really falls in love with him.
Christine in the beginning is a meek chorus girl longing to be a diva of the opera. The power of music comes to her in a voice that speaks through the walls, her angel of music.
I think it's a very seductive, he lures her in a very seductive way. You know, he's her mentor, but at the same time, I think she starts to feel things for him. And that's where the conflict comes.
Diane Frantantoni is an actor's actor. She has starred in an impressive list of Broadway hits, such as Chorus Line in Les Miserables. She was a recipient of the Helen Hayes Best Actress Award for her portrayal of Grisabelle in Cats. Portraying Christine is yet another achievement, though not without its challenges.
I really feel like it's been a gift for me, and I'm very grateful for it. I do enjoy it. It's difficult for me every night. I'm scared. I'm scared every night. I'm scared every night at different places.
If you happen to remember, stop and think of me.
Beginning's a difficult moment for me because there you are stepping into a singing role in front of all of these opera singers, you know, and you're supposed to like become this, you know, brilliant singer, and I never feel that. I always feel like there's always work to be done there.
Do you still think after all this time and the time you've had in the role that there's still room for improvement for you?
Oh, God, yes. Yeah, well, you know, it's live theater.
Yeah.
You can't cut and snip and say, let me do that again.
That's true.
You go out there and you have to go, okay, well, let me do the next, you know, pretend you didn't hear that or something. You can't, that's the beauty of theater, that when you do get it right or when it does come together, it's in the moment, and then, you know, it's sort of a precious moment.
In all your fantasies, you always knew.
Do you have a favorite moment for you?
Yes, I actually do have a favorite moment, but it's a moment where I don't say anything. It's a moment when he first brings me down to his lair, you know, where he lives, whatever. And it's when he sings the music of the night to me. I love being there with him. I like taking it in.
Do you still get goosebumps?
I like that moment with him, with Tom.
Sing for me, sing my angel of music. He's there, the Phantom of the Opera.
We aren't even close to being done yet. When we come back, Dan Kane tells us how the people here at the Bushnell pulled it off and brought the Phantom here. Be right back.
Backstage with the Phantom is brought to you in part by Acmat Corporation and Hitchcock Furniture.
Some believe that after the pear tree has outlived its productive fruit-bearing years, it is no longer useful. At Acmat, our interior construction specialists completely disagree. Commercial renovations by Acmat. Beautiful and affordable. Call 229-9000 for a free estimate.
Hitchcock Furniture, the beauty of a lifetime. Through the laughter, through the tears, through our lives, through all the years, the beauty of a lifetime shows. The beauty only grows. Hitchcock Furniture,
Hi, I'm Tony Schiano, and I'd like to talk turkey, as in free turkey dinner. If you shop Edwards for 10 of the next 12 weeks and spend at least $40 per order each week, we'll give you a beautiful 18 to 20-pound turkey, 5 pounds of potatoes, cranberry sauce, stuffing, sweet potatoes, and corn, all absolutely free. So for top quality, everyday low prices, and a free turkey dinner, shop Edwards. Bon appetit.
Edwards, you could pay more, but why?
Ask anyone who works at the Bushnell, and they will tell you they are thrilled the Phantom has arrived. But they'll also tell you it's taken a lot of work and a lot of years to make the Bushnell a place suitable for Phantom of the Opera. Dan Kane takes us through the journey.
The Bushnell began back in the 20s, the dream of Dotha Bushnell Hillier, as a memorial to her father, the Reverend Horace Bushnell. The conservative exterior reflecting his vocation as minister and philosopher, while the Art Deco interior is meant to capture his forward-looking spirit and contemporary ideas. The $3 million hall opened in January of 1930, a place where people could gather to enjoy the arts and celebrate life. For 65 years, it has been offering the finest in symphonic music with conductors like Leopold Stokowski, Arturo Toscanini, Arthur Fiedler, and Seiji Ozawa, singers from Paul Robeson to Anita Baker. And as for theater, there are a few giants of the stage who haven't played the Bushnell over the years, from Helen Hayes and Julie Harris to Henry Fonda and Hal Holbrook. Ethel Barrymore appeared, as did Eddie Cantor, Marlon Brando, and of course, Katharine Hepburn.
A lot of these folks have left their mark on the hall in more ways than one, signing their names in here on the wall in the electrician's room backstage. But this institution, like any institution, is on thin ice if it tries to live in the past.
As Lee Iacocca said, lead, follow, or get out of the way. And we're not about to get out of the way, and we're not about to follow. So we have to lead. The world is changing out there.
The Bushnell is changing as well. A $2.5 million expansion to the hall was undertaken in the spring of last year in order to accommodate huge productions like the Phantom of the Opera.
We knew a long time ago that Broadway shows, for example, were changing in size. You know, they were huge. Like, I think Les Mis fits in here by 6 inches or something. So if we were going to achieve our missions, we were going to have to be able to accommodate these larger shows, because this is what we live on.
You really had to do this, right?
We had no choice. As Ron said, if we didn't do this, the shows would not come to Hartford anymore.
Okay, so the Phantom wraps, those trucks roll down that way. What's coming down this way?
Phantom has put us on the map. The producers sit in New York and they say, gosh, the Phantom played there. The building must be in perfect shape. If it can handle Phantom, it can handle anything.
So the Phantom is certainly a benchmark for the Bushnell, but what does it mean to the city of Hartford? Here's the man that ought to know. This is a big deal?
Big deal. This is bigger than big. I got to tell you, this show, 7 weeks in the city of Hartford, is going to be fantastic for our restaurants, for our bars, for our retailers.
But economics aside, what does this really mean to the city? Is it a hit?
It is. You have people from not just the Hartford area in the region, but as far away as Vermont, Maine, they're all coming into Hartford to see this play, this show. And hopefully they'll come back to visit us again.
The Bushnell is estimating close to 150,000 people will see the show.
And so the Phantom of the Opera has finally arrived in Hartford after 5 years, $2.5 million in renovations, negotiations, arrangements, all of that. The question on a lot of people's minds, however, is the production in there the same one that you'd see if you saw the play at the Majestic Theater in New York?
The one thing I didn't want to do was, as I did with Les Miserables, I wanted everyone in whichever city that this production appears to see the same show as you can see on Broadway or in London. And otherwise there would be no point.
When I started in the theater, the road was where you went with a touring company. You cut everything down and you sent out a cast that wasn't as good as the original cast for a number of reasons. It just didn't seem almost necessary back in the 40s. And so what they got out there was frequently a kind of shadow of the original experience. Now, because the tours are so important and equally successful as the New York-based production,
Now you have to give them everything you have in New York and perhaps more.
I have devoted my entire career, and I really mean this, to making sure that what we try and do, I mean, sometimes we can't quite get what we would like, but I think by and large, we have revolutionized a whole idea of what the standards are that you will see, so that if you go to any production of my shows, I really hope that they will be as good as they were originally. And very, very often, I have to tell you, by all ironies, they're better.
People who have seen Phantom say this is a show that you can see over and over again, and a lot of them do. Part of the attraction is the costume design, which has a little magic that lends itself to the big picture. When we come back, we'll go backstage and take a look.
It's the way you learn. It's the way you think. It's the way you play and grow. It's TCI, and right now it's available with a very special offer.
Call TCI today. Ask the representative about our affordable TCI Choice Theater Value Packages. Call now, 677-9599.
TCI, it's the way you learn.
Last year, Amy Peterson of Fleet approved 175 home equity loans because more room can often bring families closer together. James Morton provided 120 low-interest loans so more people could enjoy the pride of ownership. And Jim Finelli set up over 80 retirement plans because after all your hard work, you deserve something to look forward to. At Fleet, over 20,000 employees support their hopes and dreams by supporting yours.
This summer, when it gets really hot, Dunkin' Donuts suggests you cool off with a cup of coffee. Iced coffee, that is. It's the coolest thing around. It's Dunkin' Donuts' world-famous coffee brewed from our premium beans and served ice cold. So if you want to chill out on a hot day, come to Dunkin' Donuts for a refreshing cup of our delicious iced coffee. It's very cool.
We are back with some of the wigs that the cast wears to take them back in time. And as you can see, some of the wigs, well, they're really pretty interesting. This one's called Wild Woman. That description works, we think. But the process that the cast members go through every single night is really pretty amazing. Here's a look at how it all comes together. Now, what character am I going to be?
You're going to be Meg Giry. She is one of the principals in the show. She is the know-it-all dancer who kind of knows what's going on during the whole show when no one else knows.
No, she's a blonde, isn't she?
Yes, she's the token blonde in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Then what we would do is we would put on your microphone now.
Oh, okay, here.
And we're going to use...
It's an attractive look, don't you think? Here, can you get the mic back there?
Yeah. Okay. So what we'd normally do is we would put this without this little clip, but we'll just practice here with this. We would pin it on, and it would be a nude color mic also. We would pin it on little pins, trying not to pull their hair. Now we're going to put on the lace front. You just hold your two little fingers, forefingers up. Very lightly, we're going to pull on this lace.
Okay. Should I be grabbing it?
No, just let it slide on.
I don't know if this is my
okay,
color.
you can move your fingers.
I don't know.
Then what we would do is with little pins, pin it into your head so that it would look just like it was your skin and your hairline.
Throughout the show, the Phantom has on 2 wigs, but you'd never know it.
This is the Phantom alopecia, and it's a hand-tied.
He had a rough night.
Yes.
Okay,
this is what he goes over his prosthetic. He has a bald plate put on, then his prosthetics, then more makeup, then spray, then this is placed on over the prosthetics. Then his Rudolph Valentino, which we like to call it, is then placed on over this and glued with these little tabs. And that's all it's kept on. There's just a few small pins in the back. But as you remember in the show, this wig is ripped off the first layer. So it's very strategically, the pins are placed so that this wig just flies right off when Christine grabs his mask and everything is taken off later.
And the other one stays on.
Right, so this one stays on with him the whole show.
At times, just as quickly as an actor's costume is changed between scenes, so are the wigs. All total, there are over 130 wigs for the Phantom. All are done in Victorian style, and some are a little bit, well, more bizarre than others.
So this would be Meg.
This would be Meg.
Now you need to put on your little Hannibal costume.
Of the opera, me are the Phantom of the opera. What's my line for Meg? Too bad she doesn't have a big number, because I could pull it off wearing this. The Phantom wears 3 capes during the show. This is the cape that he first appears in. This is the Don Juan cape. This is the Angel cape. And wait, take a look at the shoes. This is what he wears in the masquerade scene when he plays Red Death. And the hat, well, I just like it, but he wears that too. The costumes in the Phantom of the Opera create a magic all their own, from the capes you just saw to the 70-pound, $30,000 dress Carlotta wears in the Hannibal scene. Frankie Fair, the tour's first assistant wardrobe supervisor, took us through the amazing world that exists backstage.
This particular dressing area is Carlotta's, yes.
I love this dress.
This is Hannibal. This is the heaviest costume in the show.
How much does that weigh?
I think about 50 pounds. She's shorter than our old Carlotta. Our old Carlotta was 6 feet tall, and hers weighed about 70 pounds. Most of the weight is created because these panels are, well, let me turn it around.
How much is that dress, Frankie?
Cost-wise? Well, you can have a $30,000 luxury car, you can have this. But a lot of these beads are glass, so it adds to the weight of the costume. And these panels that are on here, this is totally encrusted with glass jewels, so part of that is why it's heavy.
And every day somebody's working, sewing, ironing?
A lot of it's spot cleaning, just to keep it clean, because the dirt and oils from a body or makeup or perspiration is actually what will destroy a costume from the inside out. This is our laundry area. Now, there are 2 people that are hired full-time. That is, they work 5 hours a day just doing laundry. So it's collected, it's prepared, it's dried, and returned to where it needs to go.
So with every city you have hampers set up,
We've got drying racks, we've got, for laundry items that are doubled, we have a doubles rack.
I see these the pants drawing the bras, or the corsets.
This is a corset for a masquerade costume. The character is called a man-woman. He's half man, half woman, and what's underneath gives him half woman on this side, half man on this. And these are, everything like this is on a set laundry schedule. So every week, or whatever is required by union laws, they're washed. This is a fat pad. This particular one is also a masquerade, and it goes under the Tweedledum costume.
Yeah, we just saw Tweedledum's hair.
Okay, here's Tweedledum's body.
So everything is dried on fans? Or
Just
these
about.
kind of things?
These well, a lot is, because every time you put something in a dryer, it shrinks. Now, we expect things to go clothes to go a long time, so we don't want to torture them. So we mostly air dry. What we have may be arranged differently in cities. Here we have a cozy little laundry room. We travel with our own washer and dryer, plus every theater provides us with 2 washers and dryers. These are the laundry sets. One show will take this set, the next show here, and the next here. Now, on the weekends, we have 5 shows, Friday night, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday. So we have to have clean laundry going, enough sets that we can keep going throughout the weekend. These are our traveling boxes. They travel and act as sort of closets in space.
So how do they go from one elaborate scene to the next so quickly, and in that time change into a whole new set of clothing?
A costume will be preset, and a performer will be out on stage. As they come back, they're choreographed so that they drop whatever they're wearing. For instance, here, they get into the new one here, and they leave. The dresser hangs that one, puts the next one out. After the next scene, the same thing happens. But we try to work in triangles so that a person arrives, drops here, gets into here, gets a wig here, and leaves.
Yeah, so you've got to work in seconds, don't you, Frankie?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. What would you say, seconds-wise, that you have to get all of this done on an average costume change?
It depends. There's actually probably minutes for most of them.
Mm-hmm.
We have one change that's 14 seconds for Meg, and Carlotta's change from First Managers into Muto is 45 seconds. That's the amount of music that's played, and then she must be out in another outfit. Those are the two quickest, I think.
Pretty neat stuff. Most of us couldn't even change a shirt in 45 seconds. But in 90 seconds, we'll be back with a look at one of the favorite parts of the show for many, the music.
That's not for me, is it?
Shopping for lunch is such a joy.
Kuna, what am I, a cat?
It's a thankless job.
No, please, not that.
And everyone's got an opinion.
Aren't I allergic to that?
Fortunately, there's Lunchables lunch combinations from Oscar Mayer. Their best meats, cheeses, crackers, even a juice drink.
Thanks, Mom.
Sure to draw rave reviews from the toughest critics. Lunchables from Oscar Mayer. Lunch will never be the same.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It's that time of year again. They're going back! It's back to school time at Staples. Over 5,000 supplies at the guaranteed low price.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Staples. Yeah, we've got that.
Theatrical masterpiece. The London and Broadway phenomenon. The Phantom of the Opera. Surrender to the grand passion, to the spectacle, to the power of the music of the night. Here for a very special engagement. One more word. Now at the Bushnell in Hartford through October 7th. Tickets at the box office or call 203-246-6807.
Backstage with the Phantom of the Opera here at the Bushnell, where we have talked with a man responsible for one of the most important parts of the show. That would be the music.
Conductor Glenn Langdon is the musical director for this production of The Phantom. His responsibility within the play can be as complex as the music he conducts.
One can get up and conduct the music in a rehearsal and just conduct the music. I mean, it's, you know, it's challenging music, it's difficult, it's, you know, it's interesting music to do. But that in itself is just a technical exercise. The real trick of whether the show works musically is whether the show works. What makes it works, whether it's the pyrotechnics, the sound, or the singing, it all has to happen at a certain moment on stage.
Nighttime sharpens, heightens each sensation.
If music of the night doesn't happen, you know, when the Phantom is seated at its organ, it's simply not going to have the impact. So it is the timing and musically pulling it all together and making the music happen at the right point in time with the singers is the difficult part of the show.
Another fine line rests with the sheer magnitude of music. Music that must touch the audience where dialogue cannot reach.
All I ask is you, and it's Christine, I love you. You have to, in order for those words to have life, you have to keep it simple, and you have to just let the music work and let the words work, and you just have to listen to what is being said. And so it's truly a case of less is more. And so when the audience can walk away saying that was gorgeous, it's, you know, it's not surprising to me, but it's very satisfying that when they walk away saying that, it means that they actually heard what those two characters were saying on stage. And if you understand what was happening on stage at that point, then the music was successful.
And say you'll share with me one love, one lifetime. Let me lead you from your solitude.
The most romantic scene in the show is on the rooftop of the Paris Opera House, where Raoul and Christine profess their love to one another. John Schroeder recreates that scene every night in his portrayal of Raoul.
I think Raoul is, he's a nobleman. He has been able to have whatever he's wanted his whole life. And he stumbles across Christine. He can't believe it's her. He wants to just have a good time with her, and he says, let's go out and you know, have a drink and enjoy, toast your big success. And this mystery kind of starts unfolding around, you know, where did she go? What happened to her? And he grows in the first act, I think. During the rooftop scene, he really is contemplating a commitment and setting down ground rules for what do I want a relationship to be.
For the two of us.
For the two of us.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not that he hasn't had experience. He's had a lot of experience, but this is something more. And he wants to, he's in love with her. And there's a big transition when he says, Christine, I love you.
Less than 2 years ago, John was like a lot of struggling actors, waiting tables and waiting for a role just like this to come along. But you could say that John always had the Phantom on his mind.
I was an actor in Chicago, and I was waiting tables. I was in a singing waiter restaurant. I was singing songs from Phantom once in a while in the restaurant.
Really?
Yeah, I tried not too much because I didn't want to kind of get bad habits with it.
But were you dreaming of, I would like one day to be in the Phantom show while you're waiting tables?
I did. When I first saw the show, when it first opened, I thought, yeah, I could do Raoul. I mean, that'd be a role that I would be right for. And I thought it would be, yeah. So I thought I'd like to do Phantom. And I had auditioned for the casting directors many times for other shows, and because they do all the big shows. And and they knew who I was. And I auditioned this one day, and they said, just do exactly what you did. We want you to come to New York and audition for Hal Prince. And in about 6 weeks, there's a couple Raoul openings, and we're really interested, and they had me read. They said, just don't do anything different. Just wear what you're wearing right now, and
do everything exactly the
way you did.
Aren't you a little nervous with that?
Yeah, it was, and that was the work I had to do, was releasing that that pressure, and it was really good for me. I think I grew because of it, and I guess I had a good audition because I got the part.
That's all I ask of you. Share with me one love, one lifetime. Say the word and I will follow you.
Yes, he did. Good for him. Speaking of parts, Deborah Kent's going to take a look at how many parts it really takes to bring this show to the stage. That's next when we return to Backstage with the Phantom.
It's great doing business with the experts. Now, let's say you're looking for a big TV. Well, Bernie's is your big TV store, and Mitsubishi is your big TV company. You can buy a Mitsubishi today and make no payment and pay no interest till January of '97. Now, Bernie's has a huge stock on display and ready for immediate, always free delivery. Buy any Mitsubishi TV or VCR, and it's no down payment, no interest, and no payments till '97. You'll get 1 year price protection and our unique 30-day satisfaction guarantee. Mitsubishi is always a better buy at Bernie's.
We'll pick it up again on Thursday. Hold on, Linda. You stay. I want a straight answer.
Where'd you get that outfit?
The TJ Maxx Career Fashion Event of the season. Right now, a terrific selection of better-name career wear, all at 40 to 50% less than department store prices. But stop by now because fashions like these don't last long.
Last time I was in the store, I counted about 17 different kinds of pain relievers. I'll let other people shop around. When I'm in pain, I go right for what I know will work. Motrin IB.
Motrin IB. The pain stops here.
There isn't any good part about being in pain, unless it's that moment when the pain suddenly stops. What I like about Motrin IB is how quickly it gets me to that moment.
Motrin IB. The pain stops here.
Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom without the overpowering staging and the special effects to dazzle the audience. Deborah Kent shows us how they transformed the Bushnell into the Paris Opera House.
19 tractor-trailer loads of scenery, costumes, props, sound, and lighting equipment are needed for the transformation. And 8 days before the Hartford opening, duplicate set pieces arrive. Some pivotal elements are so time-consuming to install that they've built 2. So while the cast is still performing in Columbus, 33 stagehands begin installing a second proscenium, the picture frame around the stage, a house lighting grid, and the false stage that hides cables and wiring for computerized stage movements.
The duplication even extends to the crystal chandelier, which hangs above the audience and has a crucial role to play in the plot.
This show is built to come out in front of the proscenium, the house proscenium. Almost no theater is built to bear weight in front of the house proscenium.
The proscenium and chandelier loom over the audience, which could be disastrous without the reinforcement of up to 60,000 pounds of steel. That was done 3 weeks before the opening. I-beams hidden by the ceiling were installed above the stage in front rows of the theater. But major renovations were required long before then. There wasn't enough room on or off the Bushnell stage to accommodate the massive set, so the back wall of the theater was knocked out to build this annex, which will hold sets and costume change areas.
If the Phantom is going to play, if Phantom of the Opera is going to come to theater, we have to do these sort of modifications to the space.
It's due to this upfront expense and the crew cost to set up this show that the Phantom must run longer than other musicals to recoup the investment. But for the Bushnell, it's also an investment in future big shows, which will take advantage of what's called the Phantom renovation.
So set designers are building sets that can travel based on the infrastructure you've created.
Correct. That is correct. So
the face of theater may change forever because you guys have reinforced it.
It is changing anyway because the shows are getting bigger and heavier, and it's just, you know, it can't all be contained in this little tiny box here. This one here, we can make it. It goes right into that. We can make it, baby. We'll make it, baby.
To limit traveling costs, a skeletal Phantom crew supervises locals in every town to put together and run the show. So every box, every part is meticulously labeled for easy assembly.
Take part A and place it to part B and insert that in part C, and a lot of it is very much like this. But it also helps us remember where things go.
Bit by bit, putting it together, piece by piece, only way to make a work of art. Every moment makes a contribution, every little detail plays a part. Having just the vision's no solution, everything depends on execution, putting it together.
Well, these gilt statues that go on to the proscenium individually don't weigh an awful lot. The entire Paris Opera proscenium weighs 6 tons.
Having just the vision's no solution, everything depends on execution. The art of making art is putting it together. Ready, hello, go!
31 hours after the show closes in Columbus and 3 days before it opens here, the rest of the staging arrives in 11 trailers. 90 stagehands load in sets, props, costumes, and lights.
Come on in, bring it on in. Bring it in easy.
For the show, they're flying theatrical curtains, backdrops to sets, all sorts of lights. And I'm told even with the expansion of the Bushnell, as one flies in and the other flies out, there's as little as 1 inch to spare.
There are several of them that actually bounce, and they're designed to bounce only one way, so the piece will get out by it, and then it would then come in for its cue.
How often are there missed cues? Well, the famous Chandelier's entrance has faltered 4 times in the 2.5-year run of this tour.
There's a lot of safety interlock on the chandelier, and it will go out part way, or it either won't fall or it'll go out about 2 feet and stop dead.
We just make an announcement. It's just like on TV when the movie stops and they say, due to technical difficulties. This is a telescoping candle with a little flame on it, with a double filament so that it flickers. And it is pushed up by the motor that's driven by the computer. And it telescopes out just like a TV antenna or a car antenna on the hood. And it creates, and there are 141 of them in the stage.
So that's what makes it look shimmering water?
They come up out of the stage, and then there's dry ice fog and the lighting. We have blue lighting that comes across from the sides. And you can't describe to people, if they haven't seen it, what the effect of that is.
A laser signal gets the boat moving on a set course that's strategically followed each night. The Phantom uses the paddle more for balance than anything else. Just one of the many things here that are not as they seem.
A lot of the show runs on computer.
So computers are moving those huge pieces in and out?
Right, the opera boxes that come in and out. We can see down here, you can sort of see the backs of the candelabras. Of course, again, it's in work light. It's not as exciting as it looks out front.
It looks better out front.
Right, which is good.
Yeah.
But these pieces here come in on winch tracks, which are automated, so that they all come in at the exact same time. This opera box is on a knife that runs on a winch, and the winch is again run by computer. And all of that allows everything to move as if by magic.
And the magic is nothing if you can't hear the music.
Is a 48 input soundboard that was made specifically for these big musicals that come in. I think Les Mis uses one, and it's a British design originally. We have another one over here that's a smaller input for orchestra and some of the individual microphones. All of the principals have them. The Phantom wears 2. And Christine wears 2, so that in case they sweat one out, because it's so little and it's hot up on stage, they're working very hard. If they sweat one out, they can switch to the backup mic, and then you never get that dropout sound.
When we return, we will hear from Sir Andrew himself on how all this began.
ACMAT Corporation of New Britain has renovated offices, stores, company facilities, restaurants, hotels, virtually any kind of building. I'm Henry Nosco Sr.
And I'm Henry Nosco Jr. For more than 40 years, ACMAT's been doing interior construction projects, paying special attention to your individual needs.
If you need a commercial interior project and qualify for ACMAT's financing plan, we'll do your project, no matter how big or small, and finance it too.
Call ACMAT in New Britain, Connecticut, where you get more for less and on time.
Building GeoPrism to some of the highest standards of quality puts it on somewhat of a pedestal. A beam price starting at $12,350 puts Prism very much within reach. No wonder GeoPrism is a Consumer's Digest Best Buy for the 3rd year in a row. Get to know GeoPrism at your Chevrolet Geo dealer.
Hi, I'm Tony Schiano, and I'd like to talk turkey, as in free turkey dinner. If you shop Edwards for 10 of the next 12 weeks and spend at least $40 per order each week, we'll give you a beautiful 18 to 20-pound turkey, 5 pounds of potatoes, cranberry sauce, stuffing, sweet potatoes, and corn, all absolutely free. So for top quality, everyday low prices, and a free turkey dinner, shop Edwards. Bon appetit.
Edwards, you could pay more, but why?
Welcome back. After much of his success in musical theater, Andrew Lloyd Webber was in search of a romance for the stage. So he went way back in time to find Phantom of the Opera.
In 1911, during one of his frequent visits to the Paris Opera House, Gaston Leroux, an established novelist and former newspaper reporter, began to hear rumors of a ghost haunting the halls of the old building. Several unexplained deaths had occurred, and the backstage gossip only fueled the rumors that it was indeed a ghost responsible for the freak accidents. Tragedy was nothing new to the Opera House. On May 20th, 1896, a 7-ton chandelier had fallen into the audience, killing a concierge. With his reporter instincts aroused, Leroux, according to legend, became obsessed, and for the next 3 months worked morning, noon, and night on what was to be his most memorable creation, The Phantom of the Opera. Although it was not a popular success as a novel, the mystery and romance of Leroux's pages have attracted artists for years to adapt their own versions of this story. It was a feline like Claude Rains who portrayed the Phantom in the 1943 film version. And in 1962, Herbert Loam played the most garish of phantoms. A burlap mask disguised his deformities. The most famous phantom starred a young Lon Chaney in the 1925 silent film. That is, until the creation of Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical version in 1985. Lloyd Webber, in search of a romance for the theater, stumbled upon Leroux's novel, the last place he would ever think to end his search.
I was literally wandering around New York, and I found a copy in a second-hand bookshop in the village of the Gaston Leroux Phantom of the Opera original book. I bought the book, and I read it, and I started reading it again, and I kept thinking to myself, this is not what I'm quite believing. It's a very bad, confused book with one central idea that is clearly very romantic. And at the very end of the book, it had the line about Christine being found looking for the Phantom's ring, which the Phantom had on his dead body. I thought, well, hang on, a romance.
For the next year and a half, Andrew Lloyd Webber's creative team took into account all versions of the elusive Phantom, with trips to the Paris Opera House to get a feel for the atmosphere they would attempt to recreate. The foursome read into the Phantom something that had never before been emphasized. It can be found in the music, in the set design, and in the storyline. And it is that which audiences all over the world have embraced.
I think because we have chosen to emphasize the romance. Many of those movies have been thrillers, grotesques. Arguably, the best of the films was the silent film, but it was never romantic. It was dramatic and extremely theatrical, which I think our show is, but it wasn't romantic. You feel in our show that this girl has fallen in love, impossibly, with this man. I don't believe you've ever felt that on any of the other permutations.
And with a stunning track record that included award-winning worldwide performances of Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, and Cats, to name a few, Lloyd Webber was dubbed the man with a golden touch. And with Michael Crawford in the lead, Lloyd Webber premiered his first romantic musical in London in October of 1986. And in less than 2 years, conquered Broadway's Majestic Theater in late January of 1988.
As of January, Phantom's worldwide ticket sales exceeded $1.5 billion. And from the looks of things here at the Bushnell, the momentum isn't showing any signs of slowing down. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
When a man goes shopping, he wants to make one stop at one place where there are lots of choices. It's a guy thing. West Farms. With so many distinctive stores in one place, finding the perfect present at West Farms is no accident. It's just a wonderful gift. West Farms. There's one place for back-to-school shopping that has everything you need for the whole student body. West Farms, where Connecticut shops.
So you're running out for a quart of milk. So you still got a stain on that shirt. So what? No one's gonna notice it. You'll slip in, you'll pick up the milk, you'll
be our 1 millionth customer!
Congratulations! This is for you! Don't risk it, whisk it. Because whisk gets out even tenacious stains the first time you wash on most everything you wash. So great results are never in doubt. Remember, someone will be seeing what you wash. Don't risk it, whisk it.
Welcome back to Backstage of the Phantom of the Opera. As you've seen, creating the Phantom and taking it worldwide requires a massive team effort. And the final member of the team is the audience. Hal Prince once said that he wants the audience to use their imagination to fill in the spaces deliberately left blank in this production. And apparently that works pretty well, because for the past 10 years, audiences have been overwhelmed by the magic created in this musical.
We've never had an empty seat in New York, or in London, or in most of the cities it's played. So my guess is that people come 2 or 3 times, and it's because they lose themselves in the atmosphere and aura of this story.
There are moments in a show where you say, don't explain. The great statesman Benjamin Disraeli said, never explain. And I can't answer any question about why the Phantom works other than it works.
It sure does, and it's currently working very well here in Hartford. The organizers of the Phantom and the theater have decided to extend the Phantom's run here in Hartford for another week. So that means the Phantom will be here until October 7th. And believe it or not, there are still tickets available. You can get yours either by calling or stopping by the Bushnell box office. Before we say goodnight tonight, we would like to extend a special thanks to the cast and crew and to the people here at the Bushnell. We could not have done this without them, and we greatly appreciate that. We hope that you've enjoyed this show. We certainly enjoyed doing it for you. For my colleagues, Dan Kane and Deborah Kent, we thank you for watching and have a good night. See you at the Bushnell.
Nighttime sharpens, heightens each sensation. Darkness stirs and wakes imagination. Silently the senses abandon their defenses. Slowly, gently, night unfurls its splendor. Grasp it, sense